Anushka, let me know when we are good to start.
Yeah, Priyam, we can start.
Okay, cool. So let's get started. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking the time and being here. Let me know if you can see the screen. You can just unmute yourself and let me know if that's visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so much for taking the time on a Sunday and being here. And it's, and if possible, everybody, if you are comfortable and if you are, if it's possible, jump on the camera and let's make it as interactive as possible. Resume building is a very personal exercise. So the more we get to interact, the more we know each other, the more you will get out of this session. So getting started. So we are here to draft a stellar resume. And throughout the session, if you have any questions, unmute yourself and just, ask, and we can take the time and, discover more, because this has to be a very, very interactive session. That is the only way you get most out of the session. Hello. Am I not audible?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Oh, just give me a second. Let me switch the Wi-Fi. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me keep the video off for now, and then let's see if that improves. Now am I audible? Is this better?
Yes, ma'am, very.
Okay, cool, cool. Then let's keep the video off for some time, and I'll try to jump back on video and, with like I said, getting to know each other is very important in this session. And to introduce myself, I mean, on the slide, you can see, the major career points in my journey thus far. But I'll take a minute to, deep dive into it and, talk about it in a little bit more detail. Because as we write a resume, it's not just about highlighting the career. There are a lot of different things that happen. And to personalize it as much as possible, it is very important to, know our journey. So I started out, as most of the people on the call might be, that I started out as an engineering graduate. I wanted to pursue biotech engineering, and I did my engineering in that. When I joined, I was very aware that, there might not be as many opportunities in terms of job for a biotech engineer in India. But that was fine for me because I was very sure I wanted to do an MS and get into research. But things changed over the course of the next 4 years as I took part in more and more, competitions, as I took part in, organizing the fest. I realized that I was more inclined towards management. So when the time for placements came, I mean, I obviously knew MS was out question now. So I had to make a choice between going for an MBA or getting a job. And like I said, the jobs in biotech was not happening. And so the next obvious option in India is a software job. So, and I didn't want to do an MBA immediately. I thought maybe getting an experience would help. So I took a job with Infosys. And luckily for me, instead of being, assigned to a, coding language like C++ or Java, I lucked out and they put me in something called an SAP finance module, which is a sort of a business analyst, management consultant role. And that was my first stint with consulting, first stint with management, and I really enjoyed it. And so I worked with Infosys for 3 years, but and then I finally went for my MBA, which I had wanted to do for a while. I went and did my MBA from TA Management Institute, Manipal. I went with a very clear, a decent clarity that I wanted to get into consulting. And a couple of months when the MBA started, the some placements interviews started, and Deloitte Consulting visited the campus on day zero. I interviewed with them, and I cleared the interview. I went and interned with them as a summer intern next summer, and then finally they at the end of the internship they made me a pre-placement offer, and I came back and joined them full time in 2019. And I was with them for about 3 years, for over 3 years, in fact. And I was working with their technology consulting practice. And then finally, last year, I made a switch to KPMG, and that's been my journey thus far. So I have sat through two campus placements, and I have made a job switch. So I have worked on my resume multiple times, and I have definitely come across a lot of different resumes, whether it is helping the juniors in college, whether it is for, hiring for my department. So, I mean, I've seen my fair share of resume, and which is how this entire presentation has been crafted. So, before we get started, I would definitely like to know my audience. If you could just unmute yourself, introduce yourself, let me know who you are, your name, what degree you are pursuing, or if you've completed, are you a student, fresher, working professional, and a simple idea as to what you expect out of this session. Whether you are about to sit for placements, are you looking to crack some internship, you're looking for job switches, if you're a working professional, or if you have any other motivation to be here on a Sunday afternoon. Just unmute yourself and let's hear you guys.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Kirtana.
Hey, hi, Kirtana.
Ma'am, I have recently completed my post-graduation in statistics and currently pursuing data science from Triple IT. I have my placements in 4 months. So now resume is very important to apply for the jobs, and ATS friendly resume is now very crucial. So I was excited to join this session today to know the insights regarding ATS friendly resume.
Okay, okay, great. Thanks for being here,
Good
Kirtana.
afternoon,
Thanks for
ma'am.
taking.
My name is Shekhar, and I have
Hi,
also completed my BTech
thanks. Hi.
degree in biotechnology.
Oh, that's good to know.
Uh,
That is why I
Good
took the
afternoon,
time to
ma'am.
talk about it in detail, because everybody can
Uh,
find some
yes,
similarity. Go
ma'am.
ahead,
Yes,
Sagar.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can relate to that thing you have gone through because after my seventh semester, I realized that in our India, biotechnology placement is really hard to crack, ma'am. In some decent amount of salary. Ma'am, I got two placements from biotechnology sector. One was in Hyderabad also. They were offering me 2.7 LPA, ma'am. I know then I switched to data science field. But when I entered into data science field, due to some problems in CV, in resume, I was not able to select the, I was not able to get the interview calls. And that's why, ma'am, I am here to get the ATS friendly resume. Thank you, ma'am.
To understand, that is a very big problem today. That we might have the right skill sets, we might have the right education, but I mean, if we are not able to crack the right resume, then I mean, everything becomes pointless, right? It's a very good thing that you realize how important that is, and I would definitely love to help you guys. So, can we hear some other folks?
Ma'am, one thing, ma'am, I have sent you a connection request in LinkedIn, ma'am. Please accept it.
Sure, sure, I mean, sure. Guys, we really have to make this interactive, because if you want to draft that resume, you need to, I mean, I need to understand what you've done. And, the more you make it interactive, the easier you can go back after, work on your resume.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
And I don't know what's the problem with the Wi Fi. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
I'm audible.
Again, not really sure what's happening, but we'll try to make the most of it. And yeah, anytime you see a problem, just let me know. So anybody else wanting to introduce yourself? Otherwise, we can just go back to what I have planned for the session. Okay, let's go ahead then. So the agenda that I have for the session is very, very simple. That we are here to simplify the process of resume building for you guys. I mean, we all have had that feeling that, we all have sat to write a resume and then wondered, where do I even start? I mean, we've had like, I have the, do I, at times we start writing and we wonder, do I even have the relevant experience for the job? Because the job description has, things written which feel like they're asking for the moon and the sun. I mean, as freshers, we wonder, I mean, what do I do to, fill that one page at all? I mean, do I have anything to fill the entire page of a resume? Have any of you wondered about these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All the
So, I
time.
mean, we all go through that. And, so the idea of this is that's what I said. Very simple. I want to simplify the process, make you understand how you can start drafting your resume. And like many, like Saikat mentioned that, he has the skill set, but yeah, a resume was being a blocker. So the simple question first, why should we invest time and effort into crafting that resume? Because the simple thing, a resume is a job seeker's most important document. I mean, it is your foot into the door. If your resume is not good, is not differentiating, then you'll not be able to, even may cross the first path of getting an interview where you can prove that you have the right skill sets to get the job. A resume is like they say, it's your first impression and you have to make it count. And more important than that, a resume is not a history of your life. People think they just list down everything they've done and that makes a great resume. No, a resume is primarily a marketing tool. It has to market your skills, it has to market your expertise. And this is why you should take in the time, take in the effort, and build that resume that will that will start getting you interview calls. And that is the first step. And that is why it is very, very crucial for any job seeker. Now here I pose this question to you. I mean, you could all be from different industries. You could be seeking jobs in different companies. I heard two people who said, they are pursuing data sciences. So just tell me, what do you think your dream companies are looking for? What skills are they primarily looking for?
Ma'am, problem solving.
Absolutely. Problem solving is one of the
Ma'am, critical thinking.
right,
Critical thinking.
exactly. Critical thinking, analytical thinking. Yes,
Understanding the problem, ma'am.
exactly. Understanding the problem, solving the problem, delivering
Lot.
results. Go again, I missed that.
And communication skills.
Exactly. Being a great communicator is very, very important. So,
Ma'am,
like
a
all of
team
you,
player. A
What
team
do you
player
think,
is
ma'am?
also
exactly, being a team player, totally all fantastic answers. Anybody else wants to throw in their answer? Okay, thus far also what I've heard are great, great answers. And this is what most of your companies are looking for. And a good 80-85% of the resumes ask for the same skills because these are softer skills like communication, teamwork, leadership. Every job requires that, whether you want to be a data scientist, whether you want to get into project management, product management, management consulting, any job. The soft skills constitute about a good 80-85% of the requirement, and they are constant across the board. So all of us have to kind of wonder on that. And then comes the remaining 10-15% is the technical skills. And of course, that is a hygiene factor that everybody needs. But we understood what your companies are looking for and that we are all aware. But the idea is, and the most difficult part of building a resume or writing a resume is, how do I demonstrate these skills? The skills you mentioned, I have them on the slide as well. So it's not that we are not aware. You as aspirants are also aware of what is required of you. But then how do you go ahead and demonstrate this on your CV? See, it's not enough saying that I'm a team player. You can't simply write that on your CV that I'm a team player. You have to somehow show it that you are a team player through your experiences. And this is what we'll try to understand. The question is not what to, you have to demonstrate how to. How do you go about saying that you have great leadership skills instead of simply saying that I'm a great leader? And this is the same for both a resume and an interview. The resume is the first step, and then you go ahead and talk about the same, build on the same experiences in your interview. But that's for another time. Like now we'll stick to a resume. So first things first, a resume is not a list of all the tasks, all the roles, all the responsibilities that you've had. Like I said, it's a marketing tool. So it has to be demonstrative. You have to show what skills you have. Your skills have to show your achievements. So we all of you, most of the top skills I have up here are all the ones you already mentioned when I asked you. So we are very aware. Somebody said creative thinking, critical thinking, analytical thinking. So how do I go about saying that in a CV without actually saying that? One of a very good example, and we've talked about data sciences here. One of a very good example could be that you can say that you created a model, you created a dashboard, which derives actionable insights based on whatever data, whatever field you were working for. I created dashboards to give actionable insights for a healthcare provider. If you are able to say this, I already know that you have analytical skills. You don't have to repeat that skill to me. Your experience already speaks of it. If you say we pick up problem solving next, how do I know you're a great problem solver? You can simply say that you recommended an XYZ solution at work, at college. You can tell me that you can list it out on your resume that you found an alternative solution to address an XYZ problem and this was the result. If you phrase it like this, you're not telling me you're a problem solver. I am deducing that fact all on myself. And that is what is required in a resume. If you're able to crack this, a good 80% of your work is done. And this is what you go ahead and talk about in your interview as well. So we'll go down and we'll cover, since you all listed these skills and these are these are the top skills required in most CVs, like I said. So we'll pick up a few examples just so you're clear. Leadership skills. How do I show my leadership skills? I could have led teams in my previous workplace. I could have led teams in my college. I could have been in a position of responsibility. I could have been the convener or the head of the marketing forum in my college. I could have led a team of 5 in a marketing department in the startup I interned with. I could have organized some events and fests in college. I could have organized some event or prepared for a client visit at work. So these are some experiences which highlight leadership. Same with, let's jump into teamwork. How do I show teamwork? You could have worked on certain team projects. You could have collaborated on and taken part in competitions in teams. You could have volunteered. Volunteering activity is a very good example of teamwork. You could have played some sports. Playing sports is a great example of teamwork. Now somebody talked about that you have to be able to deliver results. You have to have the execution capabilities. How do I show that? You can talk about it. Work experience is a great place to talk about this. For freshers and students, this could be internships if you've done. Another great example of being having execution excellence or being able to deliver the results is having a good CGPA. That also counts. I mean, you enrolled into a course to, get the right skill sets, the right education and knowledge from that. And if you're able to showcase a good CGPA, that's a great indicator. And most of the companies have a cutoff that, they need 7, 7.5, 8. So CGPA, it becomes a very, very important cutoff for that. Other things that you could showcase is if you collaborated with if you're in college, you had certain guest speakers come in, certain industrial experts come in, and you were able to collaborate with them and do some work. That also constitutes as for people, for students, as a great functional expertise. Now, how else can you show it? You could have awards and recognitions. Those are also great indicators of being able to deliver deliver the results. Now, getting to functional expertise, again, you talk about your work experience for anybody who comes with experience. For other people, it could be if you've done certain industry certifications. They are a great signaling. If they have a great signaling effect, saying that you are ahead of the curve than other your peers in that industry. Personal drive. A lot of different companies kind of like people who have a personal drive, who can achieve things on their own. They're self motivated basically. And this can be shown by if you started something on your own, if you take part in volunteering activities, having a hobby, like if you maintain a blog or you have a YouTube channel. These things show that you have a personal drive, you're self motivated, and you are a self starter. So these are some of the skills we have, and these are some of the ways that you could go ahead and demonstrate them. So any questions? This basically is a good 70-80% of your resume building. If you're able to crack the skills and how you demonstrate them, a majority of your work is done. So if you have any questions, I'm all yours. Just ask. No questions? Should I proceed then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So next, so once you've cracked the skills that you need, for this you have to deep dive into all the experiences that you've had in college, at work, personal experiences. Just deep dive into that, and then build these stories as how you can translate these skills without talking about them at all. Now, once that is done, the skill orientation part is done. Now, understanding how you would draft a great bullet points. Your entire CV is a list of bullet points, and to get that bullet point right, there is a way how you go about structuring it. You start out with the skill that is needed for the job, the work you did basically. Then you talk about the outcome. That is the explanation of the work. And then finally, you put some data point and metrics. To break it down, skill orientation we just talked about. It could be whatever skills you think are required for the job. If you read the JD, you kind of found out that these 4 skills are required. You have to be analytical, you have to be problem solving, team player, and obviously functional expertise. And then you craft 4 bullet points to talk about these skills. So like for analytical, we said that, you created certain dashboards. So you talk about created dashboards. What is an outcome? An outcome is able to get actionable insights. What is data driven? Was able to increase the traffic to our website by 10%. That is data driven. So if you're able to construct your bullet point by breaking them down into these 3 parts, skill, outcome, and data, that is a perfect bullet point. And if you're able to do that for most of the skills required, your resume will definitely stand tall among its peers. Yes, getting the data in every bullet might not be possible, might not be feasible, but wherever it is, you should, because that gives an idea. I mean, you could have a 9-point CGPA. You can highlight saying that you were in the top 5%, top 1% of your batch. That helps the recruiter understand things better, and it highlights your resume pretty well. Now to get into, so we've talked about how you craft it. I'm just throwing in some examples of how these bullet points could look like. Created a performance reporting template, achieving an 80% reduction in preparation time of standard client material. Great bullet point. It starts out with what you did, you created it. So it takes onus. It takes shows that you have the ability to deliver, to create something. It has leadership skills because you've taken the onus of that. Then it talks about what you have done, what is the outcome that happened. You created performance templates for standard clients. Now what result did this have? And it also throws in a matrix or a number that it got about 80% reduction in preparation time. So that is one way of going about it. Action, action verb, power verb, and then you have the task or the work you performed, the outcome that happened, and then follow it by the result and substantiate it with a matrix if possible. Another way people draft their bullet point is they do it by action verb, that is your skill, matrix, and then the task. So that could look like reduced customer support calls by 50% by designing and launching self-service knowledge base and interactive chatbot. So both ways are fine. I personally prefer the first one where you have a power verb, you have an outcome, and you have a matrix. Because I mean, for me, having the number in the end creates the most impact. So this is how you can draft, like use the skills that we understood, go in deep into your experiences and find that skill that matches what is required on the job description, and then through your experience talk about it and make it impactful by throwing in matrix. So this is how you go about drafting the bullet points. Again, any question thus far, or I'll proceed into how you structure your resume. Okay, moving on. So structuring your resume, this is about how your resume looks and feels, because nobody actually reads your resume. An average HR spends about 30 seconds on a resume, and that too scanning your resume. Reading comes at a very later stage when they've already shortlisted that. So to make their job easy, you should have a very well balanced resume. Your resume should not be like your work experience takes about 1/3 of the page and then everything is just put in like cluttered together. Your resume is generally broken down into your ACADS, your work ex, co-curricular, extracurricular activities. So everything should about roughly take 20-25% of the real estate on the page. So basically occupy 25% in all. And you should show successes in multiple areas. Like you could have great CGPA in your ACADS, you could have done some stellar work, or you could have some awards and recognitions at workplace. So you should show success across multiple areas, and there should be a significant spike in one. Now, what does that mean? That means in one area you should totally exceed your peers. That would definitely make your resume shine. And the second point is that you should customize your resume. What does this mean? You should not send out the same resume to every job you apply. That is a big no-no, and that is how your resume fails at an ATS level. You have to align your jobs, the skills, the keywords in your resume to match the job description. So basically that means that you have to tailor your resume for the job in question. You might have a base resume ready, but that has to be tweaked. Like I said, 80% of the skills are common. So you can have a base resume, but every time you send it out, you have to read the JD and you have to tweak your resume. And that might take you half an hour every time you apply. But that extra time and effort we have to put, because like I said, this gets your foot into the entire process of getting a job. If you don't do that, then they'll reject you right away. Then a very important thing is to have a conservative format. Don't go for funky formats with a lot of graphics and special characters. Just keep it neat, clean, simple. Make the HR's job easy when they're reading your resume. Have a standard black and white design. Use standard fonts like Times New Roman. Don't leave any white spaces. Utilize all the space you have effectively, Because I mean, you want to put as much achievements, as many skills, as much expertise out there for the recruiter to take notice and then select your resume. So these are certain skills, certain points that you keep in mind when you are structuring your resume. Now, the most important thing everybody is talked about. Everything clear till this point? Because I want to take the time for ATS proofing because very, very, very important. Cool. I'll take silence for an affirmation. So ATS, I mean, we've all mentioned what an ATS is. A good 60% resumes fail even before they make it to an HR, because they go through a software system which is called ATS, applicant tracking system. Now, what is ATS? ATS is, the McKinsey and Company in a year gets over 2 lakh resumes, and no amount of HRs you can hire will go through this and be, it's not an effective utilization of their time anyways. So there is an application system called ATS. What it does is it will collect the different resumes, it will scan them, it will sort them, and then it will give them a score. How do they come to this score? So based on the JD that the HR has uploaded, there are certain keywords that they're looking for. So based on what keywords you've put in your CV, they will map it against the JD, and then they will put a score on your CV. That score number, if it is above 70, it should sail through the ATS process. But like I said, a good 60% of the CVs fail at this step itself. So people are not taking the time and energy to get their resume right, and which is a total problem. I mean, you could apply at 100 places and nobody calls you. It's a very, very, demotivating affair. So that is why for this, we should definitely take the time, because if you fall in that 40%, it makes your job so much easier. Now, how do you get beyond? We've talked about what ATS is, how it, literally throws out every third out of 5 resumes. But how do you progress beyond that? Simple thing. You need to customize. You need to pick up the JD. Like I said, you can have a baseline JD, but every baseline CV, but every time you send it out, you have to customize it to the job in question. Like I said, the soft skills might remain the same, but some companies might focus more on problem solving and a little less on being a great communicator. Some might want more leadership skills and a little bit. So you have to read the CV, customize it based on whatever skills get highlighted in the JD. Have a very consistent formatting. If there are, there are spelling mistakes, the formatting is off, the spacing is off, the ATS generally kind of rejects these kind of CVs. After you've read the JD, you've understood the skills that are required, you've already taken the time to understand what experiences highlight these skill sets, draft that great bullet point that gets the skill across. Use very, very strong power words. Use words like created, headed, spearheaded, implemented, led. Use words like this, power words. Avoid words, weak words like assisted, help, because I mean, they really don't show onus, they don't show the work you did. It kind of becomes that you participated in something. So the focus should be to highlight your achievements and not your tasks and responsibilities, like I said, at work. So use strong power words. And after you've done this, you're ready with your resume. There are a lot of tools out there which are available, a lot of websites which give you an ATS score. Once you've completed your resume, upload your CV on these sites and get that score. A score of 70 and upwards is good. Your resume will pass. But yeah, if you get anything down, then come back to the drawing board and do this exercise all over again. So every time you
Ma'am,
submit your, yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. Ma'am,
no, go ahead.
I have tried this thing in different two websites for this ATS check. In one
Okay.
website, the same resume got 89, and on the other, it got 62 or 63.
Okay, that
Same
obviously
resume.
happens. I mean, I totally understand. I mean, it's not a clear-cut thing, and the back end of how these sites work is very different. So make sure there is obviously a vast difference. But anything, if you can get 70 on both the sites, that's a good thing. And now the sites are also becoming way more intelligent because these websites also are using AI now. So what they do is they themselves collect, suppose you're applying for a product management job. What they will do is they will go collect, 100 CV, 100 JDs for a product manager. And then they will compare yours to that. So there could be a little bit off, I understand, but anything, so you said 62, right? A 62 is also good, but yeah, try to get it a little up on both. If you reach a 70 on both sides, two sides, it's decent. But yeah,
Ma'am,
anywhere, yeah, go ahead.
can you give us some websites that where we can make the ma'am the
Yeah,
resume
y-
more effective resume?
yeah, I do have that coming up later. But for
Okay, okay, ma'am.
ATS review particularly, there are two sites which I particularly use are JobScan and Resume Worded. So these you can check particularly for your ATS score. But yeah, how the sites that can help you build your resume, Resume Worded helps you do that. But I have a list of other websites also that you can try. They'll come up a little later.
Ma'am, will this resource be shared?
Yeah, I think the pre-place team will share it with the group.
Okay, ma'am.
That's right, Anushka, right? The people will get these resources. Okay, not sure if she's on the call, but I think this will definitely be shared with you.
Okay, ma'am.
Now getting on to the most common mistakes. You have to check that there are no spelling and grammar mistakes. Because like I said, nobody is reading these resumes. 30 seconds is max one resume gets. And that too, nobody reads it. They're just scanning through. And in that, if they find one mistake, they are not going to take the time to read beyond that. And imagine what sort of an indicator it is to the recruiter. It simply shows that you don't have an attention, you don't take the time, or you don't have the attention to details. So spelling mistake, grammar mistakes, big no. There are multiple websites which can help you do this. And very important point. The second thing people do is you have like 2 to 3 pages of resume. The resume is never ending. And cannot stress it enough. Less than 30 seconds. Do you think somebody is going to read your entire life story in that? No, they're not. People with 10 years of experience are also able to make an effective resume, which is crisp, which is to the point, and which is a one pager. So as a fresher, as somebody with a few years of experience, it makes no sense to have a big resume. The only way you can have a 3-page resume is if you put all the tasks and roles and responsibilities you've done in life. Only then does that become big. But if you're talking about skills, achievements, expertise, they can't be this big. And if it goes to the second page, you have to retweak. And like maybe people who have 5 years, 6 years of experience, they might have switched jobs a couple of times. So they have to put in expertise for different jobs, different work ex that they've taken. In that case, a very simple rule of thumb is the most bullet points should go to your recent jobs. The other ones should have effectively lesser bullet points, because as you move ahead, that experience could become a little bit of, might not be as significant. So if you're going with 5 points on your current job, your previous job can take 3, and all others can also take like 2 to 3 points. So that is how you concise your resume. It can't be that your present job has 3 bulletins and your previous job has 5 bulletins. That makes no sense. Right? So that is how you further structure your resume. Like I said, consistent formatting. Don't have to be creative in formatting. Use very standard fonts, use size which is consistent throughout, consistent spacing, no special characters, no bells and icons in your resume. Keep it simple. Don't use generic phrases. Like the people who send out the same resume to 100 companies and get call from nowhere, that is what they're doing. They're using generic phrases. They're putting in that I'm a team lead. I was a team lead, and showing no outcome, showing no matrix. So that again will not help you crack that job. Another thing, people, one set of people keep it very generic. The other problem I have seen with resumes is that they use excessive buzzwords. Whatever is, if you're applying, and whatever is the new buzzword in the market, you're putting it all in there. It is jammed with all the skills. Like if you read the JD, it had 10 skills, you have put all the 10 skills. The ATS kind of looks at this also as a negative point. So you shouldn't like pack your CV with buzzwords and skills. You should only carry relevant things there. Another thing is, don't make it a list of roles, responsibilities. Achievement oriented, skill driven. That is what a CV is. Don't use fillers. Now, what do I mean by fillers? You should not have bullet points which says, I assisted on various product launches. I took part in multiple deliveries, multiple phases in a product implementation. You, like I said, matrix count. Various, I don't know. That could be 2, that could be 5, that could be 10. How do I judge your expertise in that case? You have to phrase it as, I took part in 5 product launch, 5 successful product launch and was able to deliver XYZ results. You have to tell me that I was a part of 5 plus kickoff sales events where we were able to increase our revenue by 5%. You have to tell me that. Various, multiple, many, these words have no place in your resume. Quantify it, quantify it, quantify it. Right? So these are some of the common mistakes that I very frequently see in resumes. Be very mindful of that, because I mean, nothing is sadder, right, than having the right education, right skills, and still not being considered because either an ATS rejected your resume or the HR didn't found one of the mistakes and they threw out the resume. So you want to be very mindful in avoiding this. Okay. Any questions before we move forward? Okay, good. Now we've discussed about how you make your resume skill oriented, how you draft a killer bullet point, what mistakes to avoid, how do we navigate and circumvent an ATS. Now we'll look at some of the examples that will make your resume stand out. As students and freshers, one thing, and this I think is for everybody else, but the more work ex you have, the lesser it becomes relevant. But for students and freshers, it is of utmost important that you have a good CGPA. But then again, like I'm saying, that is a bit ambiguous. What is a good CGPA? If you can say that you were in the top 5% of your batch, top 20% of your batch, top 10% of your batch, that is good. That is what you should highlight. Other things that you can have in your CV that will help you stand out is if you were part of some college clubs and committees, if you held a position of responsibility there. A position of responsibility could be you were the head of something, president, vice president, team lead, whatever that could be. But if you were in a position of responsibility, that also highlights your CV very well. If you took part in certain competitions, corporate competitions have a little more value than college competitions, but not to say do not take part in college competitions, because that is still better than not taking part at all or not having a competition on your resume. You should do internships, do projects, join an NGO, take up mentoring. And mentoring doesn't have to be, I mean, people assume that you have to be a mentor, you have to have like 10 years, 15 years of experience. No, you could be in second year, you could go out and help a junior crack an internship because you were able to do that in your first year. If you took part in some competition, go ahead and mentor somebody and tell them how you could draft a case, a solution for a case study. How do you go about preparing for a presentation? It could be anything. Mentoring is anything that you have done and you want to pass on that knowledge, right? So you could take up that. You could start something on your own. That also effectively, like I said, it shows personal drive. It helps you stand out. Playing a sport also, demarcates you or differentiates you from the bulk of the people. And even better, that if you've played at state, district or national level, that shows consistent and persistent input into something, that shows that you are consistent, you're not fickle. It took you years of practice to reach the state level. So it highlights that you are a consistent performer. Any interesting hobby you could list down on your resume that could become a talking point, where you like trekking, you've trekked at different mountains in mountain ranges in India and abroad. You could be a YouTuber, you have like 10,000 followers. That is a cool discussion to have. Like personally for me, when I was in college, I used to take part in Rubik's Cube solving competitions, and that was on my CV. And you would not believe how many times an interviewer started out as, you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. How did you get into that? I mean, how much time do you take to solve one? So, when somebody starts out with something that you are passionate about, something that you do, the entire mood of the interview changes, and it's on a very, it makes you feel comfortable. So these sort of things, if you have on your resume, it can definitely make you stand out. Like obviously playing at a state, national, if you haven't done, you should start doing, because they will definitely add values. Okay, so this is in terms of what makes students, freshers stand out. So any questions you guys have? You all are preparing for your placements, anything you think that, oh, I didn't get into my college committee. So no harm, no foul. Go ahead and get an internship, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Oh, nobody is reverting back to my emails. What do I do? Go ahead and join a local NGO. Nothing is happening on that. Start mentoring juniors, so there is no hard and fast thing. So obviously nobody will have all this listed, but you have to figure out what you can have listed, and that works. And these are great conversation starters. Not just are these great things to get your resume highlighted and selected, these are great conversation starters in an interview. Any questions? Cool. Then we'll try to look at the other segments of people. This could be people who are trying to make a career transition. By this, I mean that you could be working as a product manager and now you want to get into data analytics. You are working as a backend role and you want to move into a client facing role. Something that is basically that you're trying to get a job which you've not previously done. And this is a little difficult because as a hiring manager, they don't have the confidence that you'll be able to do the job. Not to say that you will not be able to do the job, but who'll take a bet on somebody who's not done something similar? So how do you overcome this? There are three things that you can do in your resume, which will help, or which will give the recruiting manager, the hiring manager, the confidence that you will be able to do this job successfully. So these can be bucketed into three. Stretch jobs, taking on stretch jobs. So what do I mean by this? So these are additional responsibilities that you can take within your present job that can, indicate to the recruiter that you would be able to do the job. Certain examples of a stretch role could be that you have led certain teams, you have trained a new employee who's come in, you have helped with the hiring for your team, your practice, you went ahead and did something extra. You work as a consultant, but you went ahead and helped with a business development initiative. So this is something over and above your job to get skills which you feel are required for the job that you are aiming for. Another thing, which is a classic example, is upskilling. If you want to move from, say, project management to product management, you do certain courses, you do certain uh, certifications which you feel will add value. And more you do an industrial certification, the more value that can be added. If you want to move into, say, be an SAP implementation consultant, and if you get certified by SAP, it is a great value add. If you want to get into cloud services and you are AWS certified, obviously it signals that you have definitely put in the effort and you have the right knowledge, right skill set to be able to deliver. And finally, we talk about transferable skills. So these are simply skills that you accumulate in your current career, which will help you and which you can carry forward with yourself in the next job. Say, suppose you were in the teaching profession, you were a teaching assistant, and you want to move into project management. There are certain skills which are common for both. Both have to be great at organization, both have to be great at time management. It requires a little bit of leadership skills. So these are the skills that you can showcase that as a teaching assistant, these were the skills I have. And this is what are required to be a project manager as well. And I have those skills and I'll be able to deliver and to be able to be a good project manager because of them. So that is another way. For upskilling, another thing you can do is you can take certain freelancing gigs. I mean, if your current jobs allow that, if you work in a startup, then most probably they'll allow you to take up freelancing gigs. That is also another way of upskilling. So in this, the idea is that you have to be an expert in your transferable skills. And for any skill, any upskill that you are getting, that for that you should have a working knowledge. Expert at transferable skills, working knowledge in your skills that you've gone and upskilled yourself. With that, you will definitely be able to impress the hiring manager. Right. Now we get into something that even if you've crafted a great resume, but still you're not getting any calls. One of a very common problem that I see is that the resume might be great, but when you share that with me over LinkedIn or over email, the email is so poorly drafted. And very frankly, most of our work currently is done online. Email writing is kind of like a hygiene factor in most jobs. And if you can't draft a great email for getting the job, it gives me very little confidence that you'll be able to do the job. So you, as much as time somebody has to take to get the resume right, you should definitely get your emails and the way you reach out on LinkedIn, though that communication as well as that communication right. And how do you do that? First thing, you have to draft a you have to get a well drafted resume. Now what I mean, same thing as in the case of resume, you can't be sending this exact same carbon copy of a resume 100 places. You have to tweak it to the job, you have to tweak it to the person you're sending, customize it, personalize it. That is what it means. You could have a draft version ready, but when you're sending it out, go through the HR's profile, see what they hire for, tweak your resume to meet that. Talk about, oh, you hire for technology roles, and this is my resume, I feel that I have the right skill sets. Please go through that, and we can connect if you find the resume for any of the roles that you might be currently hiring for. Draft it well, change things, make it suitable for the audience that you're sending to. Your resume that you send to an HR and the one you send to a manager in a department who is hiring should be different. They can't be the same, right? Because the motivations for hiring are different. An HR might want to meet the targets and get the right job, right candidates for the job. That person has a simple aim that he has a requirement in his team and he needs to fill that. He needs to get the right person for the job. So draft your resume well, customize, personalize before sending out whatever communication you send out. Second thing, always send a PDF version. Do not send Word, do not send any other version, because the alignment goes off when you open it in a mobile, you open it on different mobiles, I open it on a laptop. That is a big no-no. Because like I said, ATS rejects it. If I am scanning through the resume and the formatting, I open and you send it to me, I open it on my mobile and the formatting is for a toss, I'm not going to spend the time reading and trying to understand what you've done, though your resume could be fantastic. So PDF is the only format you should be sending on LinkedIn while uploading, while sending an email. Attachment also, I see people sending out resume saying resume.pdf. I mean, how do I distinguish between that? And imagine if somebody is a recruiting manager, they get 100 resumes a day. If 100 resumes read resume.pdf, it's impossible for them to, even filter through. They might like something, but they might not even remember what that is, and then goes your chance of cracking that job. So make a general format I like is go with year underscore your name underscore resume.pdf. So it could be 2023 underscore Priyam Pragya underscore resume.pdf. That is generally helps, keeping things together. I put the year simply because I could have applied for the same job before. So she might already or he might already have a Priyam underscore resume with them. So the idea is to keep the recent one most relevant for them. So drafting your resume is a good 95% of the work, but yes, do not underestimate this. This also has equal weightage. Your resume will never get read if the formatting is off or it's a bad the bad email body if you send out. Right, now finally to the question that was asked ahead, that what are some of the tools we can use to get the resume in order. One of the so most of the tools currently in the market have three features. One is they help you build a resume. The ones which are powered by AI, they also help you they also help you better draft your bullets. So if you've just written with assisted with campaign management, so they will help you come up with led a team of 5 to for a successful campaign execution, where I was able to where I was able to attract 10 prospective clients. So they'll help you draft your bullet points also better. They always obviously help you with ATS compatibility. They give you a score. Like somebody already pointed out, between platforms there could be a variability, but if you're somewhere around 70, a 65 and 85, it's good. But yeah, try to be around 70 across platforms. They also help you with something called optimization of your resume. Now, what do I mean by that? There are a lot of AI platforms coming up. Every day there is a new AI platform coming up. I also have Resume AI up here. What it does is, for every job description, project manager, product manager, management consultant, investment banking, sales, what it does is it already collates on a back end, say 1,000, 2,000 resumes, 1,000, 2,000 job descriptions for in that profile. If I go and click management consultant, it will already have in the back end that it has read through hundreds of JDs and it has decided that these are the keywords that should be there. And based on that, they'll give you a score. They'll tell you that your CV is about at 50%. So that basically means you have to put in more work, because based on an average JD, it is not meeting the mark. Again, should work at that on an average JD for your profession, you clear it. And then, so that is what averagely you should have a 70% score, and then it will keep changing. It's a general score, right? Because over thousands of JDs, but the one you have picked to apply, that could have certain different skills. So a 70 on an average could be maybe become a 75 on that particular JD. So be mindful of that, but they help you doing that. So it's a great tool to get some idea. Like I said, they do job matching based on the JD in question and the resume you've prepared. They can help you give a score for that also. But this mostly is a paid service for one particular JD matching your resume. And these are a couple of sites that I have used to at various times. The bullet point optimization, or I can put in a bullet and they help me come up with better phrasing for that. That I have seen in Resume AI. They help you do that. And ATS job scan helps you do that. And the rest all, you can get your resume at least up and ready once you have put in the effort to understand the skills and everything in a couple of, say, in an hour, 2 hours. So I'm done. I have certain bonus things that I want to highlight, but if you have any questions up till now, feel free to ask, because I just have one more slide to go and then I'm done for the day. Then the floor is all yours. You can engage me and ask me any question that you might have. Cool. I'll proceed with what I have here. I cannot emphasize enough the point that you have to proofread your resume multiple times. Because the thing is, I mean, we spend so much time, optimizing our resume, making it perfect for a job. At times we have that, it's like our baby. We might not be able to see the mistakes, but that is why we have to, cross check it multiple times. Once we are done with that, we have to go ahead and, get it reviewed by first start out with your friends, start out with your peers. This could help you, get the basic issues in order, like formatting, spellings, grammar, xyz. Post this, you should try and reach out to, somebody who's an expert. You can, somebody who, and particularly somebody who's been in the industry. It is nothing better that if you're applying for a data sciences job, getting it reviewed by a data scientist. They can tell you that, oh, this is relevant, this makes sense. When I hire, this totally makes sense to me. So getting it reviewed and getting reviews from an experienced professional in that industry would also be a very good point. So that is why, getting mentors is very important, because they can tell you a lot of things which obviously there isn't enough and more information available on Google. But there are certain nuances that, an experienced person can provide, which doesn't happen on Google. Another thing which is becoming more and more relevant right now is, mentioning the URL of your LinkedIn profile on your resume. Now, but the double quotes on the fact that it has to be an optimized profile. You can't have a profile with just, your college, no years, no nothing, no explanation, no description to your job. If you are linking that LinkedIn profile when the HR opens, it also like a badly crafted resume, a badly crafted email, a badly crafted LinkedIn. It just it does not portray that you take in the time to get things right. LinkedIn is something which is public. I mean, in today's day and age, if an HR is sending you an invite for an interview, they have gone and checked your LinkedIn. So you should optimize it. Now, just to break down what optimized means. Optimized means that your photo has to be a professional. Doesn't mean that it has to be gone and clicked in a studio. It just means that you should be professionally dressed. The background should be a clear background, smile, those basic things. Do not put a photo that you would put on Instagram, on LinkedIn. The objective isn't the same, and that has to be clear. Second thing, your title line should be clear. If you're a data scientist, put that you're a data scientist. Aspiring data scientist, put it as aspiring data scientist. If you are currently working in a different domain, wanting to make a switch, highlight that you are aspiring to get into that. What you've done to achieve that, put it in your headline. About section, put in the time to say what you've done in your current job, what are your skills, what are your achievements. And here in LinkedIn, you can be a little bit, since you have more real estate, you have more space to type things out, to write things out. What you put as a highlight in your resume, talk about it a little bit more here in the about section or in the individual job sections, right? So there you might have just listed awarded, received above and beyond award at work 5 times in the last 1 year. Here you can go and point out, and you can, upload those certificates here. Nothing adds more credibility than that. So work on your LinkedIn profile alongside your resume as well. Obviously the priority is 80% resume, 10%, or let's go with 12% on your emails, and then a 8% should definitely go in today's day and age on a LinkedIn profile. Second thing, a lot of people might wonder that they have professional gaps, they have educational gaps. Justify that on your CV. Put it that, if you took in a gap, just say planned leave of absence between this and this. Whatever could be whatever is it, just highlight it already. Because if the HR sees a discrepancy, it is open-ended for them. They might consider, they might not consider. If you already put in there, so they kind of understand, oh, you have already highlighted that. This could be something that obviously they can bring up in the interview when they get you in the panel, but at least they're aware and there is no surprises there, right? There are few giveaways that I've put in. Like we've talked so much about action verbs. I have given 2 PDFs which give you a list of power words. They can the heading could be organization, and they tell you what are the different power words you can use for an when you're talking about great organization skills. Communication, they'll give you a list of power words which show great communicator, collaborated, XYZ. That is what they could talk about. These are the 2 PDFs I've listed here. Another thing that I've listed is a resume checklist. Everything we've covered today is what I've put in there, and you can, when you are crafting that resume of yours, you can go through, oh, have I checked the grammar, have I checked XYZ. That is what it can help you. It is a great checklist for that. And finally, I have a sample resume which you can refer to. It's a good sample resume, and that can be your starting point to understand, oh, this is what, these are the what points go, these are the points that should go in, these are the points that I can reject. So that could be as a baseline help you. Now finally, I'm done. It is off to you guys. If you have any questions.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Kirtana.
Right, any of you can go first.
Ma'am, it was a great session, very insightful. I have note down lot of points.
Thank you so much for
Ma'am,
saying
my
that.
doubt is, yeah, my doubt is, ma'am, if I am active on LinkedIn posting my work regularly, does it give a good impression to the HR?
Yes, definitely. I mean, in today's day and age, that it adds value. That, but again, you have to be a little careful. There can be something that, if you're learning something, if you're still a student and picking up certain things, one thing could be that you learned something and you're sharing the learnings. If you're toning it like that, yes, definitely it comes across that you've learned something, you want to share it, you want to share it with your peers, educate them. That is great at, showing leadership skills, showing a personal drive. But if you're still learning and you are kind of projecting the work like you're a thought leader in the industry, then no, comes across as, that doesn't come across right. So you understand, you have
Yes.
to kind of
Yeah.
tone it
Yes.
better. That is the only
Thank you.
constraint.
This was exactly what I wanted to understand. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Right. So posting on LinkedIn for everybody out there, it could be a good practice, but again, be very cognizant. I mean, if somebody with 20 years of experience is talking about, this is what I have learned in my career, that's a good post. If somebody with 1 year is saying that, they have to be mindful of what they are saying that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Got it.
the link to the PD, the documents are already
Sorry,
embedded in
ma'am.
the
Your
deck.
voice
So
is
once the deck is
breaking.
shared, you'll be able to access them.
Voice was cracking.
I didn't catch what you said.
Ma'am, your voice was breaking.
Oh, is that better now? I'm so sorry. Okay, just give me a second. Give me a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Again, so sorry about the disruption. No idea what is the issue. But yeah, I was saying that somebody was asking about the PDF. The PDFs are already embedded into the document. And once the deck is shared, once the PPT is shared with you, you should be able to access.
Okay, ma'am.
So finally, yeah, last thing that, like somebody said, they reached out to me on LinkedIn, please do. I very frequently talk about career advices. I talk about management consulting a lot because that's the industry I am in. So I share a lot of posts, and it could be helpful to you. And so if you want to follow me or send me a connection, you can do that. Second thing, if you would want me to help you, if you found the session helpful and you think I can help you with your resume, do reach out for a one-on-one session on Preplaced. You could consider that. The next thing, obviously, after resume building is to prepare for an interview. I could help you with, translating a resume into how you prepare, translating the. So one common problem that I see with people is the resume. When I read through, I get a sense of an X personality. When I see them in interview, it is a totally different personality. So that can't be the case, right? If I'm getting, it's like they feel the resume was totally copied because now the person I'm meeting does not match the resume. So that is also one problem. So resume building is just the first stage of, cracking your job. Then it is all about job preparation. It's all about, mock interviews, XYZ. I mean, I can help you with that. Again, if you are aspiring for management consulting, technology consulting, I would be able to add a lot of nuances with industry perspective, and there I would add way more value. But yeah, if you are from a different field, I would definitely be able to help you through that. But yeah, I would have limited industrial insights to give. But definitely, I mean, resume, whether it is a product manager's resume or a management consultant's resume, both kind of are written similarly. That remains the same. Interview process for that remains the same. So technically, for technical questions, I might not be able to help in other areas apart from consulting. But yes, the general soft skills, cracking the personal interviews, cracking uh, fitment interviews, the fit gap interviews, what we call the HR interviews, I can definitely help with those. So if you are looking for something like that, definitely do go check me out on Preplace and follow me on LinkedIn. Share very frequently about career.
Sure, ma'am.
So we still have a couple of minutes. Will questions, if you have any particular thing you're wondering that this is a problem I feel that I have with my resume, how do I go about it? I have done this, but I don't know how to go and put it on a resume. We can definitely take that up.
Ms. Priyam, myself Sanjeev Dua,
Yeah, hi,
and
Sanjeev.
I am from different time zones. So sorry, I could not join you in the right time. I was a
Okay,
bit late to join the session.
no issues. I mean, if you have
But
any
whatever
questions,
I have seen,
yeah,
the
please. If
session
you have
was
any questions,
sure, sure. Actually, congratulations for having such kind of session. That was great session for me. Very informative for us. And
yeah, thank you
in
so much.
future, definitely I will connect with you. Definitely, I will connect with you on LinkedIn, and further, whatever queries are there, I will connect over there. Then I will be able to talk to you, because I have not joined you your full session. That's why it is not right to ask you like this.
No, that's okay. I mean, if you have any questions, I mean, there is no problem. If you did attend the entire session and you had a question about that, that's fair. But anyways, the deck will be shared. The pre-place team will share the PPT, so you can review that. But
Sure,
if you do have any question on the
sure.
top of your mind, I am open to taking them. If I repeat, I mean, it might help somebody else who's not asking, has heard but is not asking. So that's also fine. If you have
Great.
anything to ask, if not, there's always you can pick it up later.
Okay, thank you. I will pick up later after just checking your complete presentation, because I have not yet checked, so I cannot point out right now.
Fair enough. Okay. Thanks.
So,
Thanks, Sanjeev.
okay, thank you for having a great session once again. I want to congratulate you for this.
Yeah, thank you so much. It really, really helps.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So, Shushmita, you have your hand up. Do you want to ask your question? Yeah. So, one master resume, Rohit, that you asked, that is like how we talked about. 80% skills same, which in the presentation also people talked about leadership, problem solving, analytical skills. Put these on your resume and build a master CV. Then based on what you read in the JD, keep tweaking. You realize that what they have talked about, they've talked a lot about delivery execution. They've talked about that they need somebody who will deliver results, can work on their own, is a self-starter. You realize that they might be not looking, it's a sales job. They might not be looking for somebody who's a great team player. They might be looking at somebody who can deliver results. So take out the point from your master CV about uh, teamwork and highlight your personal drive and delivery execution better. So a master CV can have everything. I mean, all your achievements, but you have to pick and choose when you start applying. And the rule of thumb should be that, stick to one page. Your most recent experience should have like 4 to 5 bulletins. Everything else can have like 2 to 3. If you're able to do this, I think that works. So I'm just going through the chat. I couldn't really see them when I was presenting, just checking them now if there is any other question I might have missed. Oh, you want to see the sample template? Yeah, I can bring that up. Give me a second. So I'll bring both the sample checklist and the sample. Give me a second. I'll share my screen and then we can see that. Yeah, let me know if you're able to see my screen. Is my screen visible?
No,
Not
ma'am,
yet.
it's not visible.
Not yet. Okay. And if my voice drops, let me know. I'll go off video for that timing. Yeah, now are you able to?
No.
Still not visible, ma'am.
Okay, give me a second. I'm going off video and then I will try to present. Yeah, self-explanatory. You see them, it's not very difficult to understand. You'll be able to. The checklist is just like a summation of all the different points from the PP that you should be careful of, and the sample resume that I've shared is about a finance analyst. So if somebody is in that field, it will be a little more relevant for that. Everybody can use it as a baseline to understand how the points were drafted. So the idea is not to the resume. See, that is one of the basic problems I feel with when I see resumes. Is all the resumes look the same? But that is not the idea, right? Your resume has to be different because your experiences, your so is different. And if you don't bring that difference, don't bring that what is you in that CV, then mostly gets rejected. So that's the idea.
Your voice is break, ma'am.
Okay, again. Is that better now?
Yes, ma'am.
So is there any questions? I'll definitely like to take them, else we can wrap up the session.
Ma'am, when we talk about analyst roles these days, there are data analysts, business analysts, as well as data scientists and ML engineer also. So how we can sum up all the data points and bullet points in one resume for all these things?
Again, so when you will be applying, at a time you would only be applying for one job role, right? When you're applying, one is either if you're applying for data analyst, the role is data analyst for that particular job application. For a different one, it could be business analyst. So like I said, create a base resume, but for whatever you're applying particularly, that you keep tweaking. If you're looking for both, you're open to both opportunities, but when I'm applying to a data scientist role, I'll try to talk more about that. A data analyst role, I'll try to talk more about that. But when I'll apply for a business analyst, I'll tweak the points, I'll turn them around, and this time I'll talk about more points which are relevant to business analysts. Like, let me give you my example. When I was switching jobs last year, I was open to both a technology consultant role and a management consultant role. But I was not sending out the same CV to both the people. When I was sending out my CV to somebody in, say, the tech practice, the digital practice, the technology implementation teams, I was tweaking to highlight my experiences to showcase more that I had done implementation. I had taken part in testing. I was part of different uh, requirement gathering session. This is what I was talking when I was talking about tech consulting. But when I was talking about management consulting roles, I was flipping the points and saying that I took part in design phase of the project. I was heading the design workshop, the classroom pilots, these kind of things. So the tasks that you perform and the aspirations of the areas that you want to get in, they should match your task. Like I said, you have transferable skills in every job, so you could apply to different areas and that could still be meaningful. So you have to tweak it. That is what you have to understand. Your experiences will remain the same. It is not that you will do something new in your job. Whatever you've done is what you've done, but how you present it, how you demonstrate that is what changes. That is why I said your resume is not a task orientation, is not of task orientation, it is of skill orientation. Is that clear, Rohit? I mean, does that help?
I will definitely work on it.
So if there are no other questions, I think, Anushka, we can wrap up.
Yes, Priyam. I think we can wrap it up here. Everyone will be getting the session recording on their email IDs. And here is the link of like Priyam's account. You can directly connect with her through this link. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for taking the time on a Sunday to come back and invest in yourself, in your career. And I wish you all the best with your job hunt and with your future career. All the best, guys. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.